Hey,
Hey,
Kinksters.
Kinksters. Today we're going to explore the world of BDSM from the perspective of a submissive. I'm Goddess Jackie.
And I'm Mistress Nikki. So, suppose you're new to this lifestyle or you're just curious about it. We're going to provide you with some essential rules or tips to help you approach this world with confidence, respect, or like just an overall focus on your safety, other safeties, because submission isn't just malicious compliance. It's not always or sometimes not at all.
Before we really get into the deep diving of how you should be submissive, it's really important to know that the power exchange between a dominant and submissive occurs as a relationship. As a submissive, you're willingly giving up control. This is super important, okay? It is willing. Nobody is forcing you. This is something you want to do.
You're right. It's about consensual power exchange. It's letting the dominant partner trust, guide you, take care of you. Like Jackie said, this is willingly. This is not something that is forced. You cannot force a power exchange. It doesn't matter who says they can, you can't.
Yeah.
Um, and this exchange can be incredibly powerful. It can be very, very intimate. But for like my perspective, at least, in order to gain those things, it requires really clear communication, consent, boundaries, just an overall mutual respect of each other.
One thing to kind of keep in mind is that when you're being submissive, it doesn't necessarily pertain to the rest of your life. You can be submissive in any relationship. You can be dominant in your other relationship. Since this is willing, I find submissiveness to be more empowering than weakness personally.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely it can be a strength. I mean, and not just like a
Mhm.
surrender of self. I mean, and you have to, I feel like you have to take into consideration, not every, like you said, not everybody is submissive in their real life. A lot of the submissives that I have experience with are top dogs in their businesses, lawyers,
Yeah.
doctor, and stuff like that. And
There was even
it,
like a physicist, or what was that? They were like doing something with some crazy stuff, like crazy top secret
yeah,
stuff.
crazy. Right. And so a lot of people it's about giving up that sense of control or that power exchange. It's not a
Yeah.
weakness. And I've met many people who identify as submissives who have, I mean,
Yeah.
amazing inner strength and courage, and they're confident in their
Mhm.
real life.
Submissiveness is so powerful though. Like really at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of strength to be submissive. It's
Yep.
definitely not
Mhm.
for the weak of heart. It's something that you have to desire and crave and want. Um, and there's a difference too
Mhm.
between being submissive or just being a bottom. There can be a difference. Like a bottom can scene for anything. Like maybe they like spankings, but they're not going to willingly submit control all the way necessarily.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I agree. It kind of brought it in my like mind at this moment with that little disclaimer. It feels like it's kind of like a spectrum, almost like a spectrum. Like I can be a bottom at times. I do enjoy a good spanking every now and then. But
Beating.
yeah,
Yeah.
as we've discussed in previous episodes, I only submit to certain individuals. It's not just
Right.
it's not everybody, and that goes back to it does take strength. It's not a weakness. And it takes trust. It takes communication, consent, and all of that good stuff, the rules, so to speak.
The rules. Exactly. That brings us exactly great intro into some of the rules for aspiring subs. So you want to be submissive. You've
Yeah.
seen the porn probably is why you're interested. Most people.
Right.
Um what do you need to know going in? Big things, communication. You have to be willing to be open and honest in this relationship. if
Mhm.
you can't be
And
open with yourself, you can't be open with your partner, and you're not going to get what you want or need from it.
no, it's very much gonna feel like an instant gratification kind of experience instead of what it could potentially
Mhm.
be, which is, a safe and trusting space for both individuals.
Right.
But yes, communication is key. That goes into if you can't express that you are uncomfortable with something with your partner, or, hey, I'm not feeling good today, or hey, I'm feeling great today, I want to play,
Mhm.
then I mean, in my opinion, you have no business asking for somebody to humiliate or
Right.
degrade you.
Right.
Um, so I mean, and that goes into
Yeah.
consent.
Our big topic that we
Say,
say with every single thing every day,
yeah,
consent.
every episode.
It's
Yes,
mandatory in
absolutely.
every scenario.
Same with safe words or safe
Mhm.
actions. If you're playing with bondage, for
Yeah.
instance.
Most commonly, the most common safe words aren't going to be like on TV. I feel like they make safe words into this big thing like, "Oh, my safe words,
Pineapple.
watermelon." Yeah, I I have a
Right.
funny story about safe
Yeah.
words. I'm going to tell you in a second. Um
I do too, actually.
That's great. Um the most common is going to be like a stoplight system though. Red for
Mhm.
stop, yellow for slow down. Red should be, hard stop, do not continue. We're stopping, apply aftercare. Yellow is like,
Mhm.
hey, we're getting in a place where if you take it this way, I'm not going to be okay with it. But if you do it this way, I'm okay with it. And I want to talk to you about it first. Um,
Right. The yellow is definitely a slow down. Let's talk about things before anything
Yeah, it's
continues.
so important to be able to use safe words. When I first met my husband, this is my story. He said we were discussing safe words, kind of jokingly, very jokingly, and he was like, "Oh, my safe words, Florida or something like that," and I was like, "Oh, okay." My safe words don't stop. And he goes, "That's a terrible safe word."
My yeah, mine was like I had in my old house, we had like a security system. We were setting it up, right? And we had to have like a safe word in case we like pressed the
Oh,
alarm
right.
or someone was breaking
Mhm,
in, and like the company knew it was the
mhm.
homeowners, right? And so jokingly, I was like pineapple,
Yeah,
because that was like my go-to joke
yeah.
safe word for everything, and like like
Right.
watermelon,
Yeah, like,
or
they always have
right?
something
And so I'm like,
popcorn, things like that. Yeah.
right, and so I'm like, "Yeah, pineapple, ha, ha, ha," right? And so the dude, like, laughs and was like, "Okay, pineapple," right? And so at one point, I don't remember what happened, but the alarm accidentally got tripped while we were inside the house, and so they are calling the cops, the alarm is going off, and they're like, and I'm like, "I don't know how to stop it, I've put in the passcode, it's not working," like, I'm talking to them through the system, and they're like, "Okay, we can stop it right now, what's your safe word?" And I was like, I like, and dead ass, I could not think of my vanilla, like,
Fake
joking
saver.
safe word, and so I was like, "Red, yellow, green," like, going through lists
Safe
of,
words.
and they're like, "Can," yeah, and so, like, at one point, he was, like, clearly knew I was the homeowner, because 'cause I'm, like, freaking out,
Yeah.
people are in the background, and he's like, "Can you please just say a fruit?" Like, and I was like, "Pineapple, it's pineapple!" Like, it
Oh,
was
that was nice
like,
of him.
"Yes, thank God." Yeah. So funny. So, if you do, set up safe words, please make it
Something
common.
that you'll remember. And and
The
and that's
traffic,
why
yeah,
traffic lights are very commonly used.
very
You'll find a lot of people
uh-huh.
in the scene just use traffic lights for most scenes because it's a very
Oh,
simple
yeah,
universal safe words. But when you
absolutely.
are going into a scene, know your own limits before you do it. Have a clear understanding like physically and mentally what you can put
Mhm.
yourself through. So that way, ahead of time, you can talk to your dominant and hopefully not have to use safe words.
Right, and remember to also, respect your dominant safe words and boundaries as well.
Yes.
If you are constantly bratting or pushing, it's not gonna be fun for you, and not like in a sexy, it's not gonna be fun for you. Like the scene is not going to play out well. You know, you feel those emotions and stuff coming off of each other, and it doesn't go
Right.
well. You know, consent, communication, safe words, they're for everybody
Mhm.
involved. They are, especially good for the subs, who are wanting to play, but it's for everybody.
Right.
So
I've
respect that.
definitely read on Reddit a couple times where some people are getting into BDSM with their significant other and they do a top thing for a scene and then they're like, I feel like shit afterwards. So,
Mhm.
very important on both sides that safe words are respected. They should always be respected. If they are not, you should not be with them. That is a breach of trust and safety in the relationship.
Exactly, and for the record, we're not talking about potential CNC scene,
Right.
or where it's more of a taboo and you're, blurring the lines, but even in those very extreme or what other people would consider extreme, plays and scenes, consent and communication is still there before it
Right.
happens.
Right.
If it's not this, the first C in CNC is consensual.
Yes.
So
Those are the
if the first
ones
C
that
is,
I often see DOMs having to use a safe word for, though. And that's when it really needs to be
yep,
respected too.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, and there have been some instances where I've, been with a submissive and I've had to use a safe word just because, like, even despite our communication, we had good chemistry and stuff, but during sometimes during scenes, one or both partners can get really like intense and it just intensified for him, and I was not in the same
Yeah.
headspace, so I had to call a
Yeah.
safe word, and it was completely okay because it didn't harm anybody in the end.
Right. As a submissive, though, your overall goal is going to be to pleasure your dominant partner. You should be pleasing them. You should be happily following instructions, obeying commands. Your pleasure as a submissive is satisfying your dominant. If you're not doing that,
Mhm.
you're not really being the submissive. You're being a problem. Like it's not
Right.
fun.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. And on top of that, like while we're talking about obeying and pleasing, there is a general basis of like grooming and hygiene that you will have to
Mhm.
do. I mean, it's very important to take care of your like appearance, your hygiene to show your dom that you respect and value them. You are an extension of them. So if you are walking out on the street all crusty, dusty, musty, that is a reflection of your
Yeah.
dom. Like ship shape, ship
Yep,
it up.
exactly. And with that too, kind of being on time and being reliable.
Mhm.
You are
Mhm.
submissive. We expect you to be obeying. We expect you to be telling us what you're doing. We should never be left hanging wondering what's going on.
Absolutely not. Like, that is the kind of shit that I do as punishment for submissives is like lack of
Right.
communication. But I mean, on your end, it should be, I mean, on both ends, but if the main goal in the submissive's life is to please and obey and like satisfy their dominant, then you're going to be communicating. You're going to be punctual. You're going to be reliable. You're going to be trustworthy, even if you're just fucking silently sending
Right.
to them,
We don't want to waste anybody's time here. Like,
Right. And that to me is the actual time
right.
waster. Like I see a lot, especially on online spaces where doms will say, oh, they wasted your time, or this person's a time waster because they wanted to immediately get into a kink scene without negotiation. And like, yeah, to me, it's annoying, but the real waste of time is trying to invest time in a dynamic note with the other person that's not reliable, is not going to fall,
Yeah, exactly. Like, why do I want to put my time into somebody who's wasting it? I don't. That's
Right.
nobody should ever
Right.
in any situation. It's hugely
Right.
disrespectful.
Right. So for example, I have in like the discipline rule, like subs are supposed to message me every morning and every night. Like they're supposed to initiate the conversation is basically what
Right.
it is. If you want to talk to me, you message me. If I don't hear from you or if you don't do your morning and evening, check-ins with me, I'm not going to text you.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not going to text you. I have I have like 2 subs right now that are like, "Can we talk soon?" I'm like, "Yeah, as soon as you
Message
fucking
me,
message
right.
me. I've been here the whole
Right, right.
time."
Like, yeah, you can
Like,
message me. Like, I haven't heard from you. My message was the last message read. Like, say something.
right, like, yeah, right. If you wanna be in a dynamic with me, engage in the dynamic. Don't just tell me you want me to make you into, like, a sissy little bitch and then not
Yeah.
talk at all and expect me to go chasing no, no, we're not doing that.
The last big rule for aspiring subs to remember when they are in a scene is giving aftercare.
Mhm.
We've mentioned it for being dominant, but submissives need to give aftercare as well. It's essential for both partners. Afterwards, it
Right.
gives you that time to kind of bond emotionally, to unwind, especially after intense scenes.
Uh-huh.
If you're doing deep humiliation or degradation, it's really important to check in on each other because I mean, look at what I've said, the dominants who were feeling like crap after they performed a scene because they of what they did.
Mhm. Yeah, discuss aftercare needs or, like, preferences or what you need or want beforehand so that y'all don't have any miscommunications. Like, it's a really good time to, like, check in with, like, your inner self and see how you're doing, express those needs. It's just an all-around good thing. Everybody needs aftercare. I don't care what you say.
Yes. If you are new to the dynamic, let's talk about how you would approach a dominant. Um, Obviously, a lot of people are very nervous. If you know you want to be submissive, you don't know how to go about it. We're not exactly going to give you out where to go,
Mm-mm.
but there's some important things to remember when you are approaching a dominant.
Mhm. There are a couple of things, and it for especially submissives in the online space or in the real life space, if you see a dom that you are attracted to or you like their vibe, do some research on them. See what their
Mhm.
preferred honorifics are. See if their type of dom style matches your type of dom style. I can be attracted to somebody all day long, but if they only do like age play, like I'm not going to want to engage with it. That's not my kink.
Right.
Approach them respectfully.
Yeah, be confident about it too. Let them know, like, I am submissive. I have looked at your page.
Mhm.
Like, be confident when you do it. Don't go in with a question mark. There's nothing more annoying than somebody who randomly pops up and says, "Can I be your sub?"
Yeah. Can
Why?
can I
Well,
be your
tell
slave?
me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, like,
sure. I
have
guess.
you looked tell me about myself. Tell me you've looked into me. Like,
Right.
I don't know you, so no, like, why should I care?
Yeah, there's a huge difference between approaching someone being like, "Can I be your slave?" and being like, "Hi, mistress. I've
Mhm.
been following you for X amount of weeks. I looked at your profile. I love your content. These are my desires and limits, and have that conversation to see if y'all even mesh."
That's like a beautiful intro. These are what I like. I'm interested. How would you like to talk more? Like, that's perfect.
Yeah. There's that to me, especially with the desires and the limits, dude.
Yep,
Like, there's
yep.
so many times like interacted with quote unquote subs, and I'm like, "What are your kinks? What are your limits?" And they're like, "Open to all, absolutely zero limits." And I test it with something that isn't very taboo, and they're like, "Absolutely not." I'm like, "Then put that on your limit list. You have a limit."
Right. Yeah, it's important to know your limits. Everybody does have limits. It's actually not safe to play with somebody who does not have limits
Mhm.
because that means they're not listening
Mhm.
to themselves at all.
Right.
And there is an autonomy with being a sub. You are still your person. This is not malicious compliance.
Mm-mm. And even though, one of the rules would be like be open to like guidance and molding from your dom, like even though dominants like to kind of mold their subs into like that perfect little subby for them, like that doesn't mean that you don't have autonomy. That doesn't mean
Right.
that all of a sudden your consent goes out the window or safe words are going to be ignored because the dominant wants to mold you into their perfect little slave. you know.
Right. The guidance from them should align with your own limits and safety.
Mhm.
If they're guiding you in a way you're not comfortable with, that might not be the dominant for you. And sometimes that's hard to accept because you might not see it until several weeks or months into it. But it's important. It's so important for safety to have your own limits and respect them.
It is, and to communicate those. That way, hopefully, it doesn't take weeks into a dynamic, or you feel like you're uncomfortable, but you're staying in it because you don't know how to communicate that you want to leave, for instance, or end it. But there are several ways to build strong dynamics. We've discussed them kind of throughout this episode with the trust, the vulnerability.
Be sure you're communicating openly. Respect their authority, especially during a scene. That is when they should have the complete authority, unless you're using a safe word.
Hmm.
Practice your own self-care too, and that's going to help build your dynamic. If you're taking care of yourself, you can take care of your dominant. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to end up not being able to take care of your dominant. I actually just had this happen where I had to tell my sub, you've been in a funk. You haven't been able to do anything for weeks. What's going on? What do you need? And I identified what it was, told them, you have to go do that today. And the next day, he's like, I am a brand new sub. I am so glad you made me do that. It's really important to know your own limits.
Hmm. And it's really important to recognize that, like, even though, Jackie did recognize, a change in her sub, like giving her sub, quote unquote, what he needs is not, it's dominant. It's a dominant trait of going like, okay, you're acting like shit. You're not performing up to my ability. Go do this so that you can, serve me better. And I mean, of course, he's going
Right.
to feel better about it because I mean, I know what it was, but like, you're going to feel brand
Right.
new after that. But
Right. But, there's these things, and it's not always a reward. I
yeah.
think there's a degree that you need to remember. There is science behind this. You have
Hmm.
hormones,
Yep.
you have emotions.
Yep.
And though we wish we didn't, we still do. And we have to play into those to keep everything balanced correctly.
Right. I mean, and it goes back to that saying of like, I like to play with my toys long term. Why on
Mhm.
earth would I break them so early? Like, why? When you,
Exactly. And that's a big thing, like building trust in that relationship is
Mhm.
like, if you are looking for that long-term relationship with a dominant, it is going to take time to build. It is not going to be, I met this person a week ago and I trust them with my everything. It's
Right.
it's not reasonable. These are people. These are real relationships with them.
Right. Y'all need to learn. I mean, especially if it's a long term dynamic, and we can go into the difference between a long term relationship versus just a placing.
Mhm.
But it really is important to grow together.
Mhm.
It's important to explore if y'all are open to that, explore new things together, open the vulnerability, the intimacy in that dynamic, and it'll be super exciting. It'll be very fulfilling for both people.
Moving on, I think it's really, really important here to touch on some last things, and that's safety should be the bedrock. It is the foundation of your BDSM practice. You need to be practicing all forms of safety: physical, emotional, and mental safety.
Yes, those safe words are a must. They give you the power to stop the scene at any point in time. That ensures your safety, your comfort. Safe words are friends, not food. Just kidding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not just, the safe words, it's also having the physical safety,
Yes.
making sure if you are doing a scene that is involving bindings, having scissors, if you're doing a scene involving fire,
Fire
have a fire
extinguisher. Yeah.
extinguisher, all those things, think of that ahead of time.
Right. We did have some good tips on that in a previous episode when we discussed bondage,
Mhm.
but it is like a really, if you want to,
Yes.
go into some more details about that, we do have an episode on that. But it is really, really important that it goes back to research. Do your research, make sure that you have, your proper safety tools, have everything in your toolbox to have as much fun for yourself as possible.
Yes, you can. Right. Including emotional
Mhm.
safety toolbox
Yes.
things because emotionally it can evoke really strong
Mhm.
emotions. People can be crying, people can be reliving childhood trauma, all that stuff. So if there's something that you might need if you end up in like high emotional state to come down, make sure you have that around as well. If you need a teddy bear, if you're a little, I don't know, maybe you need them to read you a book afterwards.
Right.
Those things are important as
They
well.
are important. Just make sure you're prioritizing yourself when you are submitting to somebody. Set your boundaries, communicate clearly, hard and soft limits, do regular check
Mhm.
ins, nail that self care routine down. Even if
Yes.
it's just I wake up in the morning and I open my blinds, whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's something your dominant can help you establish is a
Absolutely.
self-care routine, and they
They
should,
should,
especially if you're lacking that right now.
especially that.
And at the end of the day, trust your instincts. Like, if you're like, "Man, this doesn't seem right," or "It doesn't feel right," trust your instincts, okay? A good dominant will be receptive to your feelings and adjust accordingly. So, if you feel like they're not responding right, it might just be not the dominant for you.
Right. Trust your instincts. Like she said, embracing submission can be deeply rewarding. It can be a really great experience. It just requires open communication, the respect, the focus on, trust and safety.
Make sure you know, understand your honorifics, follow some do's and don'ts, and prioritize your well being. So that way you can create a fulfilling and empowering dynamic that you are getting fulfilled, you are taken care of, and your Dom is taken care of.
Right. This is about a journey of like self discovery and trust.
Yeah.
It may not feel like that, but it is. It's about finding your strength in surrender.
Hmm.
It's, finding your power in being obedient. It's finding your voice
Take your time, enjoy the process, and always, 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 always communicate.
always.
All right, everybody.
Have fun. Be safe, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.